Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 14th of November for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to outline the collective energies that are going to impact upon us all, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces in much greater detail. Now, the Sun continues in the sign of Scorpio this week, but Mercury and Venus are going to be leaving this sign and moving into the sign of Sagittarius, triggering the first blush of Sagittarius season, which of course we'll pick up furthermore next week when the Sun arrives in the sign of the Archer too. But the significance of Mercury and Venus moving together is that I feel that it's going to be a much freer energy that they bring in. But that's not going to be particularly apparent right at the start of this week, because on Monday, Saturn is obstructing or blocking or inhibiting the energy of the Sun. And of course, the intensity of that total lunar eclipse of the 8th of November continues to pour its energy into all our circumstances in a very disruptive way, particularly around our sense of values, our connections, our sense of self-worth, but also around money. So the transition of Mercury and Venus into Sagittarius can bring some levitation. But of course, technically, Mercury is debilitated in the sign of Sagittarius, but I think it's one of the weakest debilitations. And in fact, I feel that Mercury can thrive in this sign, despite being opposite Gemini, which it governs, squaring Virgo, which it also governs, and of course in a square with Pisces, where it's also detrimented. So we have an opportunity to use the knowledge of Sagittarius and the thinking and the intellect of Mercury in order to transform our situation. So information is going to be important. But with Venus in the mix as well, when it comes to our relationships or even our attitude to money, the truth of our situations is vital. So the higher truth. We've been going through such an intense period collectively, and the quarter moon, which occurs on Wednesday in the sign of Leo, rather emphasizes the dilemmas that we have. You know, at some level we want to enjoy, we want to connect, we want to mix and mingle, but we've had to become much more aware of some very powerful and intense energies which have not been particularly easy. But you know, through the prism of intensity, there can also be the alchemy of positivity. And that happens this week from Tuesday through to Sunday, when the Sun forges an awesome link to Pluto. So if we can see where change can be a good thing and we embrace it and don't resist it, then our circumstances can really be changed in a very positive way. Also, the Sun from Thursday through to Sunday is in a terrific link with Jupiter, of course, now travelling forwards in the other sign it governs of Pisces. So this water trine is wonderful for letting emotions flow in a positive way. Also, Jupiter and Pluto are in a sextile all week, which is one of the most potentially fortunate of all planetary influences. It is true that Mars continues to retrograde. It is true it continues to be in a square with the equally retrograding Neptune. And so information can continue to be distorted, or it can be tricky to really get to the nub of certain matters. But I think generally this is a week that can see us opening up a little bit, or trying to make the most of the scorpionic energies which have been so powerful recently, because obviously Pluto is the ruler, the modern ruler of the sign of Scorpio, and that's like a lightning rod to both the Sun in Scorpio and of course also to Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. So if we're open to evolution, transformation, moving forwards, then the bubbly, bright and very sociable conjunction between Venus and Mercury can bring some levitation to bear. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast and understand what year 2023 will hold for you personally, please check out my special package, which gives you the rest of this year free in terms of the forecast, all of 2023, but based on your time, date and place of birth. This information completely unique to you, as will be your chart. And in my package with 30% off, you can also get your life roadmap, your character analysis, which can help you to understand some repeating patterns in your life, but also seize opportunities with greater conviction. Please see the link below. And if you're new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. But if you'd like to leave any comments and interact with me, I try very hard to answer all of them, so please feel very welcome to do that. And to all my ongoing viewers, thank you so much for all your support. So Pisces, your week commencing the 14th of November forecast continues to see your two co-rulers in your sign. Jupiter going forwards now, which is great. Neptune still in that tangled right angle with Mars, also in retrograde along with Mars, which could be bogging down your thinking a little bit, particularly about where to live, how to live there and who with. But the Sun, of course, has been in your sector of exploration, of independence, of discovery, whether that's been manifesting itself in a physical desire to get out and about, or you've been absorbing new energies, new knowledge, and doing lots of research. There's certainly been a spirit of expansion around your situation recently. It's just on the first day of this week, the Sun and Saturn are still in a very exacting right angle. So as much as you may want to do something that's daring and galvanize your situation, be very spontaneous, your physical vitality or your confidence to do it could just be tempered by the more restraining energy of Saturn. Now midweek there is a quarter moon in, for you, house 6 with the Sun in house 9. 6-9 gives us an opportunity to try to embrace that freedom love inside, but we have to make sure that we deal with our responsibilities. Now, usually most Piscean people will go out of their way to be quite sacrificing on behalf of others. But if you do feel a bit conflicted because someone seems to be letting you know that you should be doing something for their benefit, whilst in so doing it limits your freedom, then push back. You know, for example, a boss automatically assuming that you'll do extra shifts or cover for a colleague, that kind of stuff where your goodwill perhaps can at times be taken somewhat for granted. But you know, your star is in the ascendant, and it's going to begin in the middle of this week with Venus and Mercury bursting into your 10th house. This is where we connect with the wider world, but they're doing it together, and this is a very charismatic duo. Venus, of course, can be about money in its rulership of Taurus, but it's obviously also about relating through the guise of its rulership of Libra. So moving into the 10th house along with Mercury suggests your ability to cultivate people in positions of influence with great skill, diplomacy, and no little charm is definitely going to be helped by this combination. Also, Jupiter in your sign forges an amazing link with Pluto all this week, and later in the week with the Sun. Now, the Sun trine Jupiter is one of the most enabling and potentially fortunate of all planetary influences. So there's a lot for you to go for, particularly in the back end of this week. And maybe it is about trying to dare to be a bit more spontaneous, to not be dominated by your obligations to others, to not let timidity stop you from really setting your hopes high. Because once the Sun moves in the week following this one, your ambitions, goals and drive are going to be reinforced even more. But it's your people skills that really come into play this week in a very sparkling way, and the planets are very supportive as this week goes on, even after that rather challenging and potentially sluggish start to the week.